Hi everyone, this is Jim Bussard meeting with you on the Morning Jolt. These podcasts are focused on improving digital literacy in the classroom and provoking thought. We also hope to use it as a platform for teachers and students to share their amazing ideas. These podcasts will be available from the Tech for Teachers website found on the Teacher Hub. The most current show will be shared on the Hub at the beginning of each week. Also, don't forget, if you have a great idea or would like to participate in an upcoming Morning Jolt podcast, we'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback on the latest episode, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Okay, so this week we are meeting with Andrew Abbey for Tech for Teachers to share our podcast. We're going to be talking about academic achievement and living a well-rounded life, and hopefully getting some information on how to have more success in school, but also having success in life. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I know Andrew will have some great information to share, and I've been excited to have this conversation with him for quite some time. So welcome, Andrew.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My main focus and my main interest in this is talking to you and finding out, like, if there's any information that you can share about why you think you have success in school or how you balance your life so you can play sports and you can have your friendships and you can do your academics. Insight into what you do or what your daily life's like, because there's a lot of students out there that are trying to do things and trying to have success, but they're not sure exactly how to do it. They might not have the tools, or they might just not know how to do it, but they're trying.
I think it requires a lot of discipline, probably, because there's a lot of distractions nowadays with social media and all that.
In your daily life, like, what would be a daily routine for you?
Get up at probably 6:45.
Yeah.
Because I have band at 7:45, usually, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I get up early, shower, get ready, eat. Sometimes I don't eat enough, which have to get up earlier for that. But
so you skip breakfast sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes, but I don't recommend it for sure.
Okay.
I definitely think a good breakfast starts the day off right. Because sometimes, like, if I do skip breakfast, I end up feeling hungry and just, like, lethargic throughout the day, and that affects my performance in, like, whatever I'm doing.
Oh, okay. If you do miss breakfast, do you take advantage of the breakfast program?
Oh, yeah, that's a good
school?
thing too, yeah, for sure. If I band, I'm there 7:45 till 8:45. Whatever last minute homework that I didn't do the night before, I'm doing it before class. And then I have class, then lunch. I'm in the leadership office with my friends.
Yeah.
We just usually, like, play cards or just talk. I don't usually do homework in school, actually.
Right now you have a pretty small schedule because you're nearing the end of...
Right
but say in grade 11, you would have had a more complete schedule. You might have one prep per term.
Yeah.
During that prep, would you just socialize with your friends? Or would you ever use it for getting homework done?
If I did need to, like, if I had questions on my homework, I'd be sure to use that time wisely and go to the teacher. But I didn't find myself using that too much. I usually just ate lunch and talk with my friends. But there were a few instances where, like, I was, like, learning something new and I didn't get it at all. So I'd have to go to the teacher for help or ask for clarification on something like that.
So would you set up that appointment earlier, or would you just go try and find them and discuss it? Like, what was your way of, or your method of getting in touch with the teacher?
Well, if I couldn't do it in class, I would try to do it in class, so then I don't have to worry about waiting for it to do later. Then I have something else to do, something that's taking up my time then. So I'd try to address it as soon as I can. And that's what, like, most things I'm doing, like, in my life, because I find myself, like, having to do a lot of things. So one thing you have to do is, like, you have to, like, make sure you address the things that need to be done, and, like, in your list of things to do, make sure you do it as soon as you can. So if I'm in the class already, and if I have time at the end of class to ask a question, I do that then, so then I don't have to worry about doing it in my prep block or whatever. But if that does happen, I usually just, like, ask the teacher when they're free. And then if it's, like, after school sometimes, right, I go after school, or, like, whatever period they have lunch in, stop by for 5 minutes and ask them the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense, like that idea of just keeping your slate clean. So as soon as a responsibility or something comes up that you need to take care of, you take care of it.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about doing that.
So you're not worrying about it later on.
You're already getting piled up with things as you go on throughout the day, right? So if you take care of these things, you don't have to worry about it later on.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I know there's times in in everyone's life where things build up and it's like, geez, if I would have just taken care of that at that moment, then I wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through your day and you complete all your classes, you hang out with your friends. At the end of the school day, then what happens?
Well, I go home. I was really bad at this like in grade 9 and 10. I'd usually just like go on my phone or like watch TV or whatever. But then like as grade 11 hit, I started accumulating more and more homework. And what I did in grade 9 and 10 was that I'd do like things that I didn't need to do like right when I got home. And then I'd wait till like late at night to start on my homework.
So when you say late at night, what time is that?
Probably like 9 or 10.
And when would you finish?
I guess depending on how much, it would probably be 12. Sometimes like the latest I think I've had to do, like absolute latest, like once in my high school career was like 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock in the morning. You're still working on your...
Because I procrastinated a lab or an essay that I thought wouldn't be that long. Started doing it. I figured out I needed to get this done, and I couldn't. If I needed to like get a decently good mark on it, I needed to spend more time on it. So it just ended up taking that long.
I know a lot of people would say, okay, it's 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. I still haven't finished or started my homework.
Yeah.
Forget it. I'm not even going to do it. But you do it. And you stay up, so you're willing to stay up till 3 o'clock at night. And although you put yourself in a situation where you didn't start until late at night, you still finished it.
Those 3 o'clock sessions like made me realize that sleep is really important. So I learned from that event.
Okay.
So like never like procrastinate. That's what like I always, if I'm thinking of procrastinating like now, I'm thinking about like what about that time I was up at 3 and like I was so tired, I don't want to do this. So I recall that event and I remember to do it earlier. So I don't do that anymore. But that late at night and you still have homework. I guess it depends. Like, are you willing to sacrifice that sleep for one night? But and if the assignment's really important, do it. But at the same time, sleep is important for your overall health, right? And they say like you don't like get back that sleep that you lost. But I try to, like in the weekends I sleep in a lot to like make up for the lack of sleep during the week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like it really affects you if you don't get enough sleep. Because I find myself like just like really moody and like not able to focus on things. Yeah. If I don't get enough sleep.
I mean, I've seen that with students in academics and trying to get ready, and they put a bunch of time in the night before and they stay up really late. They come to school to write the exam and they're done. Like they have nothing left in the tank. So then they're just really upset because they work so hard and then they get to that day and they can't actually perform. And you see it with athletes too, that are anxious and they're maybe they practice too much and they don't give themselves that time to recover and to get ready for an event, and then they aren't happy with the final result. So you're saying that there's a transition. So you learned from grade 9 and grade 10. You went, okay, I have to do this differently.
Yeah, my behaviors throughout high school changed dramatically. Like I don't think I was fully prepared for like the hard work and like effort I need to put in during grade 9 and 10. But then I slowly learned what I need to change in my behaviors as I went on.
So what about academics? When did that become important to you, or has it always been important to you?
I would say like my parents instilled in me values of being like putting in all my effort in school as much as you can, and from an early age.
And if you didn't do well in school,
I wouldn't like be like reprimanded or anything like that, but like I myself found a motivation to be successful in school by the effort my parents have put in from coming in from India and like all the hard work they put in their lives to give me the opportunities that I have right now. So I don't take that for granted at all, and I think about like what it means that if I waste this opportunity that they've given me, what that means to them and like what that means to me. So I think about that like, and that's what like motivates me to work hard.
As a parent, like I'm speaking as a parent right now, there's times when you're looking at your child and you're trying to get the most out of them, and you're thinking, if I become a good role model, maybe they'll watch me and they'll see what I'm doing that I feel are characteristics or good traits. Or there's other times when it's a terrible thing you do. I don't think it works, but there's times when you hold it over your kid and you'd make them feel guilty. As far as your parents, like they work hard and they did a lot to get you in a position for you to have success, to motivate you?
No, they would never like do anything. Like they wouldn't say like you have to do this. It's morely like me thinking about what they've done. It's like self-motivation for me, like just looking at what they've done and like how that's inspired me to work hard.
Oh.
I don't think they'd ever like hold it and they haven't done this. They haven't been like I've done all this and you need to do this just so that you're not wasting your thing. But it's what I'm thinking.
So it's always been internal motivation for you. It's always been your expectations of yourself.
Yeah, and my parents have also like been there to like support and guide me along the way. But I think internal motivation is a crucial factor in this.
Okay.
Sure.
What about growing up? Reading. Did your parents read to you?
Yeah, my mom taught me handwriting when I was really young. Mm-hmm. And I remember that vividly, like as one of my like earliest childhood memories. It was like out of like school or anything. It was just like her, like she wanted to instill in me those skills. I feel grateful that she's taught me that because like a lot of people don't know how to do that, right?
No.
So
no, it's kind of a lost art.
It is, right? Yeah. So from an early age, they took an interest in my education and wanted me to be an all-rounded successful student as I was growing up. Reading, I remember in grade 3, I wasn't too fond of reading, and my dad's always like, you need to read, that's how you improve your education, that's how you learn about different things around the world. And he still does that to me right now. You need to pick up a magazine, pick up a newspaper article, broaden your horizons, think about like what you're not thinking about, and like learn about new perspectives around the world, learn about current issues.
So how much reading do you do that is non-academic now? Like how often would you do that? Just read something for the sake of reading it instead of for a class?
I'm doing that more now because I'm starting to develop that interest, and I wasn't as interested earlier on. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to develop that interest now, and I'm starting to read more, probably like an hour or so every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of do you read, coming from a technology perspective?
Yeah.
A lot of people read different types of formats of writing. What are you mostly interested in?
Mostly like things like Maclean's magazine, just like editorials and like stuff on current events and just like keeping updated on what's the things happening in the world right now.
So not novels?
Novels, yeah, but like I read novels in class, but outside of class, yeah, sometimes I do find myself like reading novels if I have time, but nowadays I'm moving towards like nonfiction and like just like current events.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find I'm more of an informative reader than I am a reader to just read for enjoyment.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy. I enjoy reading and figuring out information.
Yeah.
Now, so you went through, and it seems like it was kind of a nerd. At some point, you just had high expectations for yourself. Do you remember any point in your life where you didn't do well or you're disappointed with yourself and you're like, I'll never do that again? Do you remember a time when you went, I'm really going to try hard at my academics now. This is now important.
I think as soon as like grade 9 hit, I realized I was like moving into like a high school setting, and that became a focus for me, but like it doesn't mean like I achieved that. That motivation became clear to me that I need to be successful. Mm-hmm. And I need to try to become successful. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it hit when I started in high school, in grade 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've known you since you were in middle school from afar, but I've always been intrigued by you. There's always been moments where I've just observed what you're doing, and I've just been compelled to go, geez, this Andrew, he's a really cool guy. It's been small things. It hasn't been your academic success. It hasn't been your athletic success. It hasn't been your success playing instruments. It's been your success at being a good person. And when you did your speech for grad, your main focus was kindness. Mm-hmm. I'd like to share that that's the one characteristic or the one trait that I've always seen in you that I think's compelled me to just go, Andrew's a sensational person, because he has all these other things that he's done so well, but at the hierarchy of everything that he does, he thinks being a good person is really important. And when I coached you in badminton, you were one of the top players on our team. You achieved at the highest level anyone's achieved at our school for the last few years in badminton, but you were always the last person in the gym, picking up the last shuttle, putting away the net. How come that is still important to you when you're so good at all these other things?
Well, I guess that goes down into my value system and beliefs, I guess. So I've been raised by my parents like that, I guess. That's one thing. My parents have always taught me like the importance of kindness, and how you treat others is fundamental and of the utmost importance. That supersedes anything like marks or your success in athletics or whatever it is. If you don't treat others with respect and kindness, where does that leave you? And so I think my parents had a lot to do with that, and my how I saw like the world and people around me, mm-hmm. and how I wanted to be a positive influence in this world rather than a negative one where I was like detrimental to the world.
So you want to be a person that has a positive influence on the world.
Mm-hmm.
What's intrigued me the most is that you're so good at so many things, but that's what you're best at, is being a good person. Now,
Sure.
You're saying this.
Yeah.
I don't think you and your brother are anything alike. And you've come from the same parents, you both heard the same message, but you're not the same person.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
So have you like taught my brother, or like have you seen him?
I've seen your brother. I saw him at Badminton.
Okay.
I feel like he's more like, between the two of you, I think you're more into sharing. You're more into the greater good of everyone. I think he's a bit more selfish. I think he's also pretty talented. Mm-hmm. But why do you think there's a difference between the two of you?
That's a fair comment, and I would agree with that, honestly. Why? I guess everyone's unique. But
Do you think it's hard for him to live in your shadow? Like with you going through first and being good at so many things, do you think that's hard for him?
I think it might be, yeah. And he's like brought up like times where he's like, why are my parents comparing me to you? And I think that does go in his mind sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that might influence his behavior, right?
Yeah.
So,
every parent has that struggle too.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Because not every kid's going to be the same.
Exactly, yeah.
And as much as you've lived the same experience and with the same parents, there's other influences in your life that are always involved. Can you think of any other person in your life that's been an impact on making you excel and making you want to be the best person you can be, other than your parents? Maybe it's not even someone you've met. Maybe it's someone that you just...
Well, I talked about Mother Teresa in my speech, if you remember that. And that's been like a source of inspiration for me as well, like how I told you guys how her kindness inspired people around the world.
Yeah.
And that's been a source of inspiration for me as well, in how to treat other people. And I've looked to her as a role model.
And how did you initially find out about Mother Teresa?
I think I did a research project on her when I was in grade 5, so I was intrigued by that. And then I remembered her when I was writing my speech. I remembered how her kindness touched people around the world, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a really good example and a role model that people can use, right?
All right, so if you explain that your parents have been really good role models, they've given you good advice and suggestions along the way, do you think there's anything... There's a lot of people that have great parents and they have good role models, but they still make bad decisions. What's your feeling between nature versus nurture? Do you think like we're born and everything from that seed that you become, you learn after that point? Or do you think there's something that's instinctual that's in that seed that you can't change, and it's just there and it's a part of you, and it's going to be a part of you when you start your life?
On the nature versus nurture, I don't think there's any like smart gene or successful gene that's inherited. If you have good parents as role models, you can always use them as role models and be inspired by them. But I think a lot of that lies in the environmental factors of nurture, and how you use your resources around you, and how you take advantage of like the opportunities that you have to succeed, and how you embrace them and use them to your advantage. Whereas some people like don't do that, and that's not based on your genetics or your whatever's passed down from your parents. I think that comes down to an individual decision every day. Do I want to try my hardest this day, or give it only 50%?
Yeah, well said. You feel like the opportunities are always there for people to get better, but sometimes people look at the opportunities and walk away from them, or they find excuses, or they find alternate ways of approaching life.
Yeah, it comes down to what you...
But a lot of times the offering's there, but it's whether or not you're willing to take it.
Yeah, it comes down to what you value in life, and whether you're going to put in all the effort you have to achieve that.
Now, what are your thoughts on some people being strong with math and other people being strong with English? Do you think that is something that you can work on to change, or do you think that's just inherent and you can't change it?
Yeah, I think for myself, I was more strong in the math and science and weaker in the English. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for sure, you can totally change that by like if you have that scenario, you can always like read to improve your vocabulary, improve your mastery of the language, syntax. All that comes from reading, which is another benefit of reading, because you just get exposed to the variety of literature that's in the world, and how authors use language to convey a message. And that's something you can use when you're writing your own essays, your papers, or novels, or whatever you're doing. Whatever writing, or even and then that extends to communication as well. And you can also watch like presentations and speeches and all that. and learn how other people are conveying a message to an audience and learn tactics like that. I think for some reason people have subjects that they're more interested in for sure.
And that's probably what you'll excel at, right?
Yeah.
Because you're more interested in it.
Yeah, you have more passion about that subject. Obviously, you're going to put in more effort to know more, and you're more curious about that area of interest for you.
Mm-hmm. There's always been that that excuse that people use where they'll say, "Oh, I'm not good at math. I've never had a math mind. I'm good at English, but I can't do math." But all the latest research is saying you can train your brain to be good at whatever you want to be good at. Yeah. So we can't really use that as a crutch anymore. And I think a lot of people have used that as a crutch in the past.
Yeah.
If you were to give suggestions, if you're in a position where you're saying, okay, new students are coming into our school, they're approaching grade 9, and they just want some good solid advice on how to be successful, not just in academics, but, I mean, that's really important, but how do you be successful in academics and kind of live a balanced life and enjoy the high school experience at the same time?
Yeah. So for one, I think you should be open to new experiences and just try out as many things as you can. Join clubs, join sports, join band. Just don't be too focused on your academics, because what happens is that you get stressed over it and then you have no outlet. You have no other like source of like passion, because you're always just doing one thing. So it's really important to like keep balancing everything that you're doing, but make sure you're focusing on a lot of things, because that way you're fulfilled in life, because you have like all the areas that you want and you're pursuing them. So for sure, like make sure you're just open to new things, and just try as many clubs and activities and like extracurriculars as you can besides academics. And then on the academic side, for subjects that you feel weaker in, I would definitely recommend going to the teacher and asking for advice. For me, especially in English all throughout my high school, every time I got an essay or any reading comprehension back, what sometimes people do is just look at their mark and throw it into the back of their binder. It's done and forgotten with. Mm-hmm. But I think a big part of like learning is making sure that you understand where you made your mistakes and figure out where to improve. And that comes with asking your teacher, asking your friends, and not simply just throwing it in the back of your binder, forgetting about it, coming to the next test, making the same mistakes again, potentially, not learning from them. I think learning from your mistakes is an important thing that you need to learn to do to be successful.
Yeah, that's excellent. The only thing I forgot to ask you about, we were talking about your daily life. Do you have set routines that you kind of follow as far as like when you have time to do your homework? Or because you said you no longer leave it till late at night. So how did you change that? We didn't really talk about that.
Well, I changed that by learning that 3 or 4 hours of sleep is really bad, and I need to get more sleep. So I, schedule-wise, I'd come home and eat something, and then I wouldn't do homework immediately. I'd probably play piano for a bit.
Yeah. So that's your downtime. Like that's kind of your relaxing. Like
is,
give my
it's
brain.
Like a de-stressor for me almost.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
And then once I'm like focused and ready to go, I'd just get started. And I'd make sure like not to go on like for like hours and hours of homework. If I'm doing like homework, I'd put in a break every like 30 or 45 minutes so that I'm not burnt out and I can actually continue. Mm-hmm. So during those breaks, I just like talk to my family and maybe check my phone once in a while, but like not during when I'm studying anymore. Yeah. So
where's your phone when you're studying?
It's in my room, but in case I have like some urgent message, I don't use it when I'm studying for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you game at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is often an issue is people go home, they'll go, okay, I'm just going to game for a bit.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get started on and then after a couple hours, they're still gaming. How do you moderate that?
I mean, I game sometimes with my brother. I just know, like, recently I just haven't been like too like interested in that, because I remember like in grade 9 and like grade 8 in middle school especially, I'd come home and game till night, and then
start your work at 9 o'clock at night,
right? Yeah. And then my parents were a help for me there too, because they were like telling me to lower my screen time. And
would they moderate it for you?
Yeah, in middle school, like after that they were like it was getting very excessive, because I wouldn't like do anything besides doing that. So then they had to moderate for some time. Then they loosened their restraints. They told me that it was up to me to decide what's important and what to do. And then I just like slowly began losing interest in that.
Yeah.
But I still sorry.
What about your phone? Like, are you allowed to take your phone to your? Have you always been allowed to have your phone in your room?
Yeah. They don't have like too much of a restraints or anything on my phone. But
And you've always been okay with controlling that?
yeah. I think I have a good choice in like when to use my phone and when not to.
Because you're talking about sleep patterns and about not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest issue with students getting sleep right now is having their phones out, and they stay on their phones till really late at night.
Yeah.
And then they come to school the next day, and you know how dysfunctional you feel when you're not getting enough sleep. I think that's an issue. So again, that's something that you figured out how to moderate on your own. It wasn't something that was controlled by your parents.
No, I figured that out as I went on, yeah.
Okay. So you'll go home, play the piano.
Yeah.
Study for a while.
Yeah.
No more than 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Give yourself
Take
a break.
Yeah.
Go talk with friends, family, go on your phone,
Yeah.
whatever it is. How long are those breaks usually before you get back at it?
They're quick, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And nowadays I'm working out too at the gym. So I go to the Calcut. If the field house is open, I play badminton. Just things other than academics. Just things to like de-stress and just have fun.
And how many hours a night would you say you usually have homework? Like if you have a full schedule, what would be?
Full schedule, and like if you're doing advanced courses and AP courses, it's a bit more.
Yeah.
2 hours max.
2 hours?
That's max.
Sorry, would you say that you're a hard worker or that you're naturally gifted?
I think I'm a hard worker. I put in a lot of effort nowadays into doing my homework and studying. Yeah, I think people can be naturally talented. I don't think I have any like exceptional talent at memorization or like learning information faster than other people. I think that's possible for sure, and then people have that, but I don't think I have that for sure. No.
Okay.
I don't have some intelligent IQ or anything above the charts or anything.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
All right, Andrew. I think that wraps everything up. We had a fantastic conversation. I truly enjoyed myself, and I'm very excited to share your insight and your information and knowledge with the rest of the staff and with the students at Hunting Hills. So thanks again very much, and I just want to let you know that we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I hope whatever I've shared will help students learn the tools that they need to be successful in school, and I hope that'll help teachers as well too.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.